All right, today we're jumping straight into Amazon EKS, and we're going to tackle the one decision that honestly sets the stage for your entire cluster, your compute foundation. If you get this right, you are setting yourself up for a smooth ride. But if you get it wrong, well, you could be in for a world of operational headaches. So let's make sure you get it right.
So you've picked EKS. Awesome choice. But right out of the gate, you hit a fork in the road. How are you actually going to run your containers? And this isn't just some minor technical detail, believe me. This decision is going to have a ripple effect for a long, long time. So let's break it down.
Okay, let's pop open the EKS toolkit. AWS gives you 3 really distinct tools for powering your Kubernetes clusters. Now, each one is built for a different kind of job, and really understanding their strengths and weaknesses, well, that's the key to building a solid architecture. Let's meet them. First up, we've got self-managed nodes. Think of this as the complete do-it-yourself route. You are in the driver's seat for everything. You're provisioning the EC2 instances, you're patching the operating system, you're handling all the upgrades. It's kind of like building a high-performance race car from scratch. You get absolute, down-to-the-metal control over every single component. But you're also the head mechanic, and you're responsible for all the maintenance. Next, there are managed node groups. Now, this is the most common option, and for a good reason. It's often the best balanced approach. With this, AWS handles all the heavy lifting, provisioning the instances, managing their lifecycle, doing graceful node terminations during upgrades. The great part is, you still get access to the underlying OS if you need to poke around, but you're freed from all those tedious operational tasks. This is like leasing a really great, reliable car. You can customize the inside, drive it wherever you want, but the manufacturer handles all the big engine work for you. And finally, we have AWS Fargate. This is the full-on serverless option. With Fargate, you just completely forget about the whole concept of nodes or servers. You just define your Kubernetes pods, tell it how much CPU and memory they need, and Fargate just runs them for you. You never see an EC2 instance, you never patch an OS. This is totally the ride-sharing app of the EKS world. You just tell it where you want to go, your application, and it handles the entire journey. No questions asked about the car, the fuel, or the route.
So let's just put these side by side for a second. You've got self-managed nodes for when you need that ultimate control. You've got managed node groups for that perfect balanced approach. And you've got AWS Fargate for maximum simplicity. See? 3 different tools for 3 very different jobs.
Okay, so we know our options. But how do we actually choose? In cloud architecture, it always comes down to trade-offs. And with EKS compute, the big one, the fundamental trade-off, is always control versus convenience. Let's dig into how each of these options stacks up.
And I want you to think about this not just as 3 separate boxes, but more like a spectrum. On one end, you have the absolute total control of self-managed nodes. On the complete other end, you have the effortless simplicity of Fargate. And sitting right there in the middle, you've got that balanced approach with managed node groups. Just understanding where your needs fall on this spectrum is the first step to making the right call.
Let's get a little more specific. Look at this. There's a super clear trade-off between how much work you have to do and how much flexibility you get. With self-managed nodes, yeah, you have all the control in the world, but guess what? You also have all the work. With Fargate, you have almost zero operational overhead, which is amazing, but you do give up some of that fine-grained flexibility. And the cost models? They're totally different too. For the node-based options, you're paying for those EC2 instances whether they're busy or not, which is pretty predictable for steady apps. But with Fargate, you're paying for exactly what you use, per pod, per second. That can be a massive win for spiky, unpredictable workloads. The whole key here is to figure out how these factors line up with your team's skills and what your application actually needs.
All right, we've covered the theory. Now let's get practical. How do you actually make this decision for your project? Let's build out a simple but really effective blueprint that you can use every single time.
Here's a dead simple 3-step process. First, just start with managed node groups. It's the safe, sensible default, it's the sweet spot. Second, ask yourself, do I have any stateless workloads? Things like APIs or web front-ends where every request is on its own. If the answer is yes, choose Fargate for those. If you don't need to manage the nodes, then just don't. And third, only, and I mean only, use self-managed nodes if you have a really compelling documented reason. That extra control comes at a pretty high cost, so you better be sure it's worth it.
And hey, remember, you don't have to pick just one. In fact, a hybrid approach is often the smartest way to go. Use Fargate for your simple, stateless stuff to slash that operational overhead, and then use managed node groups for your more complex, performance-sensitive jobs where you need that extra bit of control. This way, you really are getting the best of both worlds, the simplicity of serverless and the power of traditional nodes.
So let's just boil this all down into your starting playbook. Here are 3 solid recommendations. Number 1, always default to manage node groups in your design. It's the safest, most flexible place to start. Number 2, actively look for places to use Fargate. If a workload is stateless or event-driven, move it to Fargate and win back precious time for your team. And number 3, treat self-managed nodes as the exception, never the rule. It should require a serious business case to justify adding that extra operational burden. So there you have it. You've got the tools, you understand the trade-offs, and now you have a clear framework for making the right decision. The only question left is, what are you going to build?